Hello, greetings YouTube, and welcome to Bubble Hearthing. I'm Bubble, and today we're going to be going over the black cards for Ikoria Lair of Behemoths. Just the mono black cards in this video. The set is coming out very soon, so I'm trying to get this video out kind of soon too. If I feel a little rushed, that's just what it is. But I'm going to do my best to give you my honest, my true opinion on how I think the cards are going to be, usually like a 1 to 5 scale, and I'm going to be rating them based on standard playability and limited as well, to a lesser degree. I'm more familiar with standard. And if something strikes out as, oh my god, this is a modern or legacy card, maybe I'll say that, but I'm not really too familiar with those formats. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Here we go. Bastion of Remembrance. It is an enchantment for 2 and a black. When Bastion of Remembrance enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So what do we have here? For 3 mana, you make a token. You make a 1/1. A 3 mana 1/1 is horrible. The fact that it's a human, there is some human synergy, but it's not worth that. Okay, it hangs around. Whenever a creature controlled dies, your opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So basically, there's already like an aristocrat that does that. I think it's Cruel Celebrant, maybe. So you're paying for a 1/1 and the Cruel Celebrant effect. I mean, in theory, it's nice, and I think this is a horrible card, basically. In standard, if you're trying to do this, guess what? We have cats. And you put the cat in the oven, and you take the cat out of the oven, and it just keeps on going and going and going. You don't need to double up on cats with this. You just need to get your cats and your mayhem devils and whatever else you're doing and sacrifice things, and you already got that covered. This is just a worse version of that. In limited, however, let's see. 3 mana make a 1/1 is horrible. And the little effect afterwards, if it was reliable, then sure. But you need your creatures to die. And then, like, if it was like a Midnight Reaper kind of effect, then I'd be better if it would like have some kind of card draw. But no. So basically, this card, bad. Moving on. Which button? Oh, that's the button. Oh my goodness. Okay. Like, thankfully, I remember what the buttons are. Here we go. It's been a while. Blitz Leech, 5 and a black for a 5/2. Sounds mad. Let's move on. For Flash. Still sounds bad. When it enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Remove all counters from that creature. So, ideally, for 6 mana, you get a 2-for-1, because hopefully the creature that you're giving -2/-2 dies. I guess it'd be nice if they had any +1/+1 counters on them, because then like it does extra damage to a degree, because it removes those counters as well. And then this probably blocks something else, and that dies as well. So optimistically 2-for-1, but a 6 mana 2-for-1 is the very least that like you would want. Now sure, you could standard wise 0. For the most part, there's a lot of cards, at least in monocolored, that are going to be very, very bad in standard. And very, very shiny on my forehead, I see. Okay, lovely. So we're going to be talking mostly from a limited point of view. When we get to the multicolored cards, that's where we're going to find some spicy things. Until then, we're kind of mild, kind of like mild chili here, mild salsa. Then we're going to go to the picante. All right, so how are we doing with this right now? I guess in limited, it's okay. 2-for-1s are always pretty good. Unfortunately, you're spending 6 mana and you're going to lose a guy. Well, what else there? The fact that you can flash it in at the end of your opponent's turn to try to attack with it in case maybe they swing out and they don't have that much health, they didn't expect anything, although there are a decent number of flash creatures in this set, so let that be a lesson to you. If you ever swing out and you only have like 1 or 2 health and your opponent has some mana open, just be aware they can flash in a creature and then potentially get you. So be prepared for that. But otherwise, I don't like this card too much. It's okay, but the fact that it only has 2 toughness means it dies to a lot of things. If you can set up that 2-for-1 situation, go for it. Otherwise, it's not great. I don't really like the whole remove all counters from the creature either, because ideally you're killing it. Otherwise, maybe it had flying and you're bringing it down to the ground now and it's easier to deal with. Maybe it had like a first strike or counter or something, so now you can actually fight it. It should kill it. Try to get it to kill. So ultimately 0 out of 5 constructed, and I would say like a 2 out of 5 unlimited maybe. Who knows? Alrighty, Blood Curdle. 3 and a black for an instant. Destroy target creature. Put a menace counter on a creature you control. Alright, well, obviously standard, nothing. just take it that if I don't say anything about this in any card in standard, it's probably just not going to see any play. I don't think it's going to see any play. If it sees some play, then you know what? You can go ahead and tell me you were wrong in the comments, and you know what? You'd be right because I was wrong because you were right. But beyond that, all right. Removal is always good and limited, and the fact that it is not conditional removal. Usually, it's like destroy target creature with power 3 or less, or with CMC 5 or more, or something like that. This is destroy target creature. Cool. All right. So. That's great. That's actually really, really nice. I would see this as like a 3 out of 5. You're going to run this card if you have it, just for the kill effect. The fact that you get to put a menace counter on something is nice. It is overcosted for a kill effect, certainly. You usually want them to run 2 or 3 mana, so 4 is pretty steep. But again, the fact that it is not restrictive at all means it's still playable. Alrighty, Boot Nipper, look at that. I don't know why they decided that this creature is going to be the one that bites your heels off right there, instead it's a hey tiny mouth, that sort of thing. But yeah, someone watched Alien. Anyway, Boot Nipper for 1 and a black, you get a 2/1. And Boot Nipper enters the battlefield with your choice of a death touch counter or a lifelink counter. So just so we're aware, just because that's a new thing going on with Ikoria, and I kind of glossed over it before. So there are now going to be keyword counters. So before you had, +1/+1 counters, -1/-1, poison counters, and whatever, and different specific things for like certain cards. But now what they're going to do is instead of having a card that just says like, oh, do this and then this creature gets first strike forever, and you just have to remember that and like put a little like note there. You're actually going to have a counter. That's going to be a first strike counter, and it just gives it that keyword. Very, very intuitive. Oddly, you could proliferate it if you'd like to give it first strike, or in this case, death touch or lifelink twice. Doesn't do much for you, but you could. So you know what? Options. Okay. Options are always good. Gotta have options. Anywho, so this is literally just saying enter the battlefield with your choice of death touch or lifelink. There are some cards that interact with counters, namely this one called the Ozolith, where it can collect counters and spread them out to other things, so it does matter that it doesn't just have one of the two things. The counter does actually matter there. Okay, going forward though. A 2-mana 2/1, in limited, you're usually going to go with the Death Touch, unless you're like super low on health, just because it's okay to have a 2-mana thing that can potentially trade up or just keep your opponent from attacking with anything that's concerning. There are ways to deal 1 damage in this limited format, so don't count on, like, don't try to hold off for like the best possible scenario. If you can trade up early, then you might just want to do it. Also worth noting that beasts can mutate. That's another new keyword. We'll get to a card that has it later on. So beasts could be upvalued that way. There is human synergy. Not really beasts. Non-human creatures can mutate. If you're not a human, you're a beastie. All right. But it's worth noting that. So you may just want to use this to remove other things. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling here. In limited, it's okay. I put in like a 1 out of 5. Maybe you throw it in there, maybe not. You die something else. Standard, just get out of here. Bushmeat poacher. Yeah, you gotta poach that bushmeat. I imagine they just take it. They're not the hunter kind of poacher. They actually just take it and put it in some water and just kind of poach it like an egg. Here we go. Would you like some bushmeat? Fresh out the kettle. Anyway, it costs 3 and a black for a 2/4. This is a human. So no mutations there. Humans mutate all the time. That's how we drink milk sometimes. Or we don't drink. I don't know. Whatever. It's nonsense. Lactose. Anyway, so for 1, you can tap it. Sacrifice another creature. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness, and you draw a card. So the life gain largely isn't going to matter. Again, constructed nothing. It's horrible. Drawing a card is nice. I'm comparing this quite a bit to Priest of Forgotten Gods, where it's cheaper. It costs 1 and a black. It's a little weaker stat-wise, but it's fine. You have to sacrifice 2 creatures, but then you draw a card, you gain mana, your opponent sacks a creature. Like, this is not going to outclass that, even though they only have to sacrifice 1 thing. Yeah, but Priest of Forgotten Gods is just altogether a better card than this, tempo-wise, or whatever you want to do, setup-wise. Because the big thing with these sort of effects is that you need to have something on the board, have it survive the turn, and then you use the ability. So, and you have to pay mana for this too. I think with Priest of Forgotten Gods, you just tap it. So yeah, there's already a better version of this card. So yeah. In limited though, where you don't really have many other options, 2. 1.5 out of 5. It's not a great effect. You don't want to be just sacking your creatures off. If you're in the point where you can like chump block a few times, sure, you can try to just make some use of them if they're going to die and do nothing else anyway. But you better have some good answers in your deck. If you don't have any answers and you think, oh, I'm just going to use this to cycle through things and get through and I'll just overwhelm them, you won't. Won't, because you're killing all your things. All right, moving on. Oh, look at this artwork. This artwork, like, it's like that kind of creepy, kind of nightmarish thing. I don't know. This thing looks really nice. Anyway, Call of the Death Dweller. Yeah, that's not creepy at all. 2 and a black for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creature cards with total converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a death touch counter on either of them, then put a menace counter on either of them as well. The living fear Nethroi's whispers, the dead heed them. Ah, lovely. Alright, so for 3 mana, you get to revive other stuff up to 2? Okay, up to 2. So you can't just pull up a lot of strictly X mana cost things like Stonecoil Serpent and Yugen's Conjurant, I think that's what it's called. Or, you know, and just be like, they're all here and they all die, and then ta-da, effects, you know, enter the battlefield and whatnot. No, it has to be up to 2. But it's actually a really nice thing. It certainly help if there's some sort of a combo. This could potentially see some standard play. I don't have in mind exactly what would be used for that. In particular though, one thing that comes to mind is if you use this in a Rakdos sacrifice deck, if you bring back Mayhem Devil and give it Death Touch, then everything it pings just dies. Even your face, eventually. But yeah, because the creature has Death Touch and is doing damage, therefore it just needs to deal 1 point of damage to it. So that's really nice. That could be a potential combo there if like a lot of go wide decks keep going, because at the moment red kind of goes wide and, well, control doesn't, but there's still fires, I guess, and it can be a good way to pick off the Cavaliers. Who knows? But that is one way I could see this card being used. Beyond that, I don't really see a whole lot. There might be some other revival things. You can use it to get back I mean, you can use it to get back either the 2 Titans, Croxa and Uro. Of course they sacrifice themselves immediately, but whatever. But yeah, so in limited, however, this is a great card. I see nothing wrong with that, and the fact that you can put Death Touch and Menace on things is really cool. If it has both Death Touch and Menace, then when they attack, they have to block with at least 2 things, and provided your thing has at least 2 power, you can kill them both. So that's pretty sweet. Yeah, so in limited, I say like a 2. It's not amazing. You still need the cards to get back, and you're still only getting at most a 3 mana card. But it's alright. It's like having an extra copy of that creature, except it's better. And yeah, in standard, maybe some play outside of a few niche situations, maybe like a 1 out of 5, which is the first thing I'm saying in standard might actually see some play. Alrighty, Cavern Whisperer. Well, this is whispering that my hair is messed up because guess who hasn't been out of the house too much? Oh my goodness, it just made it worse. Alright, whatever, that'll have to do. Cavern Whisperer for 4 and a black, you get a 4/4. I would not rate this card 4 to 4, but this is the first time we're seeing mutate. Alright, we're mutating here. How do we mutate? So, also it has Menace, and whenever this creature mutates, each opponent discards a card. So let's take a brief moment to go over mutate. With mutate, you, well, let's just read the flavor text. If you cast this spell for its mutate cost, put it over or under target non-human creature. It can also, you own, right? It can be a token. There's no stipulation whether it's a token or non-token creature. It just has to not be a human, because humans don't mutate. Humans are very, very stable here in Ikoria, aside from the fact that they're being hunted down all the time and that they're constantly being chased by creatures. They're stable, you know, they're doing okay. You know, they know what they're doing. Then mutate into the creature on top, plus all abilities from under it. So this is something important to keep in mind. You usually have a cheaper mutate cost because you're basically almost like sacking one creature and throwing another one in there, but they do keep all the abilities. So whether you put this on top or on the bottom, the resulting creature will have Menace, and it will have, whenever this creature mutates, each opponent discards a card. If this card's on top, it's going to be a 4/4. Cavern Whisperer, CMC 4 and a black, converted mana cost, and is going to be a nightmare creature. It gets all those other attributes based on the top card, topmost card. If this is on the bottom, then it just gives it Menace, and whatever it mutates, each opponent discards a card. It's also worth noting that when you play the mutate card, if you're casting it for its mutate cost, and it sticks on the board, then it does trigger that ability the turn it comes in. So the whole whenever it mutates, if you mutate a turn, it triggers it right away. Let's see, anything else to note? If you cast something for its mutate cost, and the creature that you were targeting to mutate onto is destroyed via some kind of kill spell or whatever, then it will just come in as a regular creature. So it doesn't have that whole as much of a 2-for-1 issue as auras do, where I'm going to play this aura, okay, Murderous Rider, oh, and then the aura has no target, so I guess you got me. So there's that. So now we can go further into evaluating this card. Yeah, so it's just standard no. 5 mana 4/4, whatever, 5 mana 4/4 menace. Let's just consider that, because I don't know exactly how reliable you're going to be able to mutate. You might be able to mutate like 1 or 2 things, but I don't think there's going to be too many things you actually work with in a limited card pool. It's not too bad. The fact that your opponent does have to block it with 2 things is nice. You can usually pick off 1 thing, but there's also probably going to be, this is a set with big creatures, and 4/4 isn't huge, isn't big, it's like mediocre, you know, and a Martin Joe would not be pleased. So I'm not feeling this card. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. There's some things you feel, you know, like I'm not feeling it. Okay, so like 1 out of 5 in limited. And standard, no, get out of here. All right, the Chittering Harvester. Good thing we went over mutate, because we're still going over mutate. Alrighty, let's see. We have 5 and a black for a 4/6. Whenever this creature mutates, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Occasionally, the mutate cost is actually higher than the casting cost. Rarely, but sometimes it is. So just worth noting, it's not always cheaper. Okay, sacrifice thing. These effects in the past have been good when they're cheaper. Currently, we have Liliana's Triumph, which doesn't see any play, which is an edict effect, which is like, you know, your opponent sacrifices something. So the fact that that's a 2-mana card, that's not a creature, but it's a 2-mana card, and it sees 0 play. This will see 0 play. In limited, maybe if you have like some cheap mutate things, you could play this thing and then mutate something underneath it. Because this is a bigger body. You're not going to want to play this for its mutate cost, because you're probably going to have other creatures on the board at that time. You don't want to really lose that value, unless you can keep like a really cheap guy there. Also worth noting, mutate is kind of like a pseudo haste effect. If the creature that you're mutating onto, whether this is on the top or the bottom, was on the battlefield at the start of your turn, as long as it doesn't have stunning sickness, rather, you know, then this can just turn into it and attack, and you can get the 4/6 out there. So kind of hasty, kind of not, we'll see. But I don't like this card, really. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5, though. Better than this one, just because the stats are bigger. Yeah, it costs more, but, I mean, that's what you get, you know? Something diminishing returns, I don't know. Okay, moving on. Corpse Churn. It costs 1 and a black for an instant. Put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And yeah, so let's see here. So you mill 3, then you can put a creature from your graveyard to your hand. In limited, I like it quite a bit, because it's basically put a creature card from the top 3 cards of your library into your hand, or, you know, you can obviously pick one from the grave, which isn't too bad. For 2 mana, the fact that it's an instant also is really nice, because you can potentially have 2 mana laying around and just be like, end of the turn, okay, I guess I'll bring my thing back. And there's not a whole lot that works from the graveyard. There is 1 mythic creature who can be played in the graveyard for its mutate cost. So if you got that in a limited kind of thing, you're probably doing all right, you know what? So that's one thing you might actually be okay with milling. Otherwise, you know, who knows? And largely, you consider those 3 cards to be like the bottom 3 cards of your deck. You never would have thrown them anyway. Who knows? Randomness, woo! So I like it in limited. I would say like 2.5 out of 5. That's cool. In standard, no. No, people might say yes, but I still say no. Mire Triton, the Death Touch thing that mills cards, it sees some play in Chimera Calls the Dead and Ephemia decks, but other than that, nothing. So I'm not seeing it. Alright, Dark Bargain. For 3 and a black, you have an instant speed. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, not mine, yours, my library. Put 2 of them into your hand and the other in the graveyard. Dark Bargain deals 2 damage to you. Jeez, I'm tired. Oh, I'm tired of this whole thing with black. Okay, you can get some cards, but you have to pay life. Ooh, we're black, we're scary. Oh, sacrificing. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's an overdone like flavor that's not really very tasty. Yeah, like licorice is old, but you know, well, that's a very polarizing topic actually. Anyway, so look at the top three. It is nice the way they worded this, that it does get around Narset, so you get that. It is a 4 mana draw 2 basically. It is worth noting that there could be one card that you really want in the graveyard, so it could be pretty nice there if you really want to get something in the grave to pop back out later on. I mean, hell, you can just try to use this to get Croxa, but there are, like, you're doing this for 4 mana. It's not really that great. So in limited, this is okay. It's really not too bad, but again, you're spending 4 mana to not do too much. You get some threats for the next turn. So considering that I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of early game, I think like turns 3 to 4 is where you're going to start to actually establish your boards. This is okay in this limited, but I wouldn't run more than 1. Yeah, I think more than 1 would be a mistake. So there's that. And in standard, get out of here. Get out of here. The poach is traded. Get out of here. They're poaching. Deadweight. Oh no, it's the biggest bunny. Oh, the biggest seeds. So I mean, if you read the flavor text though, you're not my Ikoria, little one. Which I just watched Infinity War again, so he calls her little one a few times, and I'm like, okay, Thanos, on to you. Anyway, I'm after whatever comes to investigate your cries. So the thing's crying, but maybe it's a live bait, but the live bait doesn't always get caught, you know. Sometimes it's like, hey, here you're running along, and then you get the thing, and then the bait can go free and do its own thing. Who knows? Anyway. It doesn't have to be a sad story. Also, look at the choppers on that thing. So Deadweight, it's a reprint. We already have Deadweight, I believe. Is it in standard? Pretty sure. If not, it was in like Rivals of Ixalan or something like that. I don't know. But it's a thing I already have. Myers Grasp is the same kind of thing, except you pay 1 more and you do -3/-3, which sees a little more play because 3 damage is bigger, and that's actually like one of the breakpoints in standard right now. There's a lot of things that have 3 toughness, not a whole lot of things that have 2. 3 is really where you want to reach. If you can get to 4, then you're good. And guess what? You can win, but there's not a whole lot of 4. But for this thing, it's okay. Like for limited, there's nothing really wrong with it. Another reason why this isn't seen playing standard is because we have this figure, which is instant speed. So there's that. But yeah, limited, this is fine. I would maybe run like 1 or 2 at the very, like, if it doesn't kill a creature, at least brings it down a level so you can probably deal with it or hold it off another way. So it's fine. It gives you devotion to black. Oh, that's not what we're talking about. Dirge Bat. Okay, here we go. So for 2 and 2 black, you get a 3/3 flash flyer. And whenever this creature mutates, destroy target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. This is one where the mutate cost is higher because you're bundling it with the kill spell. So what I love about this is that it has flash, because you just play this for 4 at the end of your opponent's turn, whatever, and then when your turn comes around, not only can it attack, but you can just mutate something that's cheaper on top of it. Instead of being like, well, I'm gonna just mutate this for 6. You can use it as a 6-mana kill spell, certainly. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think you'd rather, you know, turn 4, you have 4 mana, like floating, whatever. Turn 5 comes around, or maybe you even block like a 2/2 or something with this, which is even better. Yeah, turn 5, tap 5 mana, play something mutated on top of this thing, which still has flash and still has flash, whatever, still has flying, and you swing in the air for a bigger thing while you kill something. Like it's cool. So this card in limited is definitely like a 4 out of 5. It's really nice, very, very, very nice. In standard, it might see some play. I'm not exactly sure how good mutate is going to be in the standard format. Overall, it's difficult to say. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't want to just make a huge statement and just be like, well, this is what it is. I am going to do a little more in-depth look at that and kind of like a bigger explanation as to how mutate works in another video. Explaining things like mutate and cycling and the tokens and like the counters and such. So we'll go over that later. Stay tuned for that. Until then, we're just going to be going over the cards here. So this is a good card. I think it could definitely see some standard play, and limited, hell yeah, great card. And spoiler coming up right now. So if you don't want to see the alternate artwork, Look away. Look away. I'll tell you when to look back. Okay, just look away. Look away. Look away. Oh, look at this. Oh, don't. Oh my God. Oh, look. Yeah. Lair of Behemoth. That's a Behemoth right there. That's a big boy. Yep. I mean, it's in not English. Yeah, there you go. My English inspection license tells me this is not English. So I do believe this is if you don't want spoilers, then cover your ears, okay? I think this is like a Mecha Mothra sort of thing, so that's awesome. They have like Godzilla stuff, you know, it's really cool. They got they partnered with like Toho, I believe it was, Entertainment or whatever, and they got like the rights to Godzilla, or they, you know, paired up and they actually have Godzilla in the set, which is insane. So this is a Mecha Mothra kind of thing. I'll be talking about more of the mechanics behind this later, but this is basically the same thing. They're the same card. Oh, that's not the same card. Okay, here we go. And moving forward. Okay, now anyone that was not listening or looking, feel my voice reach you and say that the spoiler is over for now. Cool. Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Durable Coil Bug is a 1 and a black for a 2/2. 5 mana. Return that from your graveyard to your hand. This card's bad. Obviously, in constructed is horrible, and in limited, sure, you can potentially have a thing that keeps coming back. It's bad. This might be like the last card you put in the deck. It's like, well, I guess I want something. Sure, like spending 5 mana, spending 7 mana to play a 2/2 creature is bad. The fact that you can do it every turn is still bad. This is not even a reliable mana sink, because what if it just doesn't die? You attack, okay, your problems are through. Oh, I can't play it again now. Huh, well, there goes that value. Duskfang Mentor costs 2 and a black for a 1/3. There's actually a cycle of these sort of effects, so we're going to be talking about this. When Duskfang Mentor enters the battlefield, put a lifelink counter on target non-human creature you control. And then pay 1 and a black and tap this, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with lifelink. So there's other things like this for like Vigilance and I think Trample, and maybe some other effects too. So that's an interesting thing they're trying to work out. This actually isn't too bad in limited. In standard, no, get out of here. But in limited, the fact that it doesn't cost an obscene amount of mana or resources or either, because, you know, mana plus you gotta tap the creature to buff the stuff, and it's each creature you control with lifelink. And with all these counters going around, this not too far-fetched to say that you might have more than one thing that you're buffing with it. So it's actually not too bad. I would put it at like a 2 out of 5, maybe like a 1.52. For the stats is still not great. If it was like a splicer and it came out with a creature that have lifelink and then you could just do that, that'd be so much better. As it is, you still need a target and it's a 1/3 body. It's not really gonna do much aside from buff things. So, okay, that's my opinion. All right. Now for some easy prey. Oh, look at that. I love that, like in the background. Just kind of faded, like, oh, through the fog. This is something there. I don't know, maybe. I think I see something. Is that a sun? Oh, wait, that's the eyeball, and the rest is the mouth, and you're dead. All right, so for 1 and a black, and instant speed. And that little guy in the front is like, you have no idea. He's like, he's right behind me, isn't he? He's like, oh, they're all right behind you, dude. Destroy a target creature with converted mana cost 2 or less. Like I said, there's a lot of removal that is conditional. This is one of them. Converted mana cost 2 or less. You pay a little bit to kill a little thing. It's not too bad. If your opponent, I'm gonna want to see when someone mutates poorly and puts a cheaper card on the top, cheaper creature on top, and then it's like, nope, sorry, it doesn't cost that much, so I can get rid of it. Note that in standard, whatever, this can kill a Hydroid Krasis. Just throwing it out there. It can also kill a Croxa. Probably not going to. Probably not going to see much play there. It might, though, just for the cycling thing. Although, if you're putting this card in, this is largely a sideboard card. I don't know why you would exactly sideboard in a card with cycling. It's more of a main board thing that just doesn't punish you as much for not hitting your targets. And cycling, for anyone who doesn't know, you pay the cost there. I believe in this set, they're all mana costs. In other sets and other cards, there have been different costs associated with cycling. In this case, you just pay the mana. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, look up Street Wraith. And some vintage players just like, yes, Street Wraith, or maybe not vintage, I don't know. Legacy? Modern? Anywho, Death Shadow. Alright, so cycling just means that you pay the mana cost, discard this card, and draw another one. So for 2 mana, you just swap this with the next card in your deck. This goes in the graveyard. cool. It is nice that we're getting a lot of these effects in other colors and such, and that Narset doesn't hose these too much, because you're still allowed to draw one card during your opponent's turn, as well as one card during your turn. So as long as you cycle during your opponent's turn, you can still draw the card. If no one was playing blue against Narset, then you might not be too familiar with that. But Growth Spiral during your opponent's turn, always, especially for that reason. So limited, this is fine. I would maybe play one of these cards in the deck, and I would pretty much always play it if I was in black. So in that sense, like a 2.5 out of 5, maybe even 3 out of 5. It's pretty nice. In standard, I don't think this is actually great. It might see some play in Arena in best of 1, because there's no sideboarding. So this is a fine card to put in there, and if you're against a control deck that doesn't have any targets for this, you cycle it and you're good to go. Geez, I'm taking forever, aren't I? Oh well. Alright, Extinction Event costs 3 and a black for a sorcery. Choose odd or even. Exile each creature with a random mana cost of the chosen value. 0 is even. So if you choose even, then your opponent just can't even. I know. And for the record, yes, 0 is even. Oh, 0 is neither even nor odd. 0 is even. 0 is even. Anyway. Oh, good. My scan's complete. Lovely. I have no threats. Good. I do have a fly on my keyboard. True. Alright. Boy, so how do we think about this? Well, in limited, the fact that it hits your cards also is kind of nasty. You can hope for the best thing, but it's largely going to be like a coin toss. I haven't actually weighed the different CMCs, converted mana cost, and see if even or odd is more favorable, is more prevalent. But I'm not entirely certain. However, in constructed, in standard, you could potentially try to build a deck around this, meaning that everything is either even or odd, so you are guaranteed not to hit any of your creatures. However, that might not always be the best thing for you. If your opponent has a whole bunch of even things and your deck is only even, guess what? You have to lose some dudes now. So I actually don't really like this. I think Ritual of Soot is probably just a better thing there. We'll see. The fact that this is Exile, though, is really nice. And it doesn't actually target, so you can remove whatever. In particular, you can remove, like, Dream Trawler. So there is removal for that, which is nice. You just pick even and then it's gone. Because it costs 6, right? Yeah, 2 white and 2 blue. So you get that option. Other than that, though, we'll see. Worth noting with the mutate stuff, you can actually kind of mix things up and maybe mutate a different CMC creature on top to change it from even to odd or vice versa to make this card more favorable. So think about that first. Always consider all your options. So in limited, I really don't like it though. And in standard, it might see some play. It might. Probably again going to be a sideboard card, unless you could put it in the control deck, like maybe one of, and you're probably gonna run into something, as long as you don't have too many creatures. All right, Gloom Pangolin. I like this card. This card looks so nice. Oh my goodness. Save the pangolins. So for 2 and a black, you get a 1/5. Don't play this card. Don't play this card unless you just want to see the artwork. If that is enough of a payoff for you, I understand. Because this would be like an awesome playmat or something. I would love this on like the cover of a like sleeves or something. Oh, this is beautiful. Good job, YW Tang. I'm a fan. All right. Let's see. Grim Dancer. Oh, and this is terrifying. Okay. I should note I'm doing this at around 2 in the morning. So nightmares indeed. All right. So for 1 and 2 black, you get a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield with your choice of 2 different counters on it from among Menace, Death Touch, and Lifelink. My friends, that is good. That is very good. In fact, in limited, this is basically like a 4 out of 5, maybe a 5 out of 5. I would run as many of these as you get, really. So I think that makes it a 5 out of 5. Not that this is going to win the game immediately, but the fact that I believe more often than not, you're going to go with Death Touch and Menace. Because either you just keep swinging in with 3 damage and your opponent doesn't really block it, or they block it with 2 things and you just immediately 2 for 1. And it's a 3 mana 3/3. So you're not even being charged for the extra value there. This is a fantastic card in that sense. Now, in standard, I really don't think it's going to see any play there. It could. Maybe like a 1 out of 5 in standard. I don't think the lifelink is going to be useful really at all, but you could potentially have something along those lines against like a mono red deck if you wanted to. maybe maybe Mono Black Devotion fixed this up. It was like, yes, now I finally have the card I needed to help stabilize against this and that. No, Gary, I'm sorry, I really thought you had it in you. But no, but in limited, hell yeah, nice stuff. Very nice, very nice. Heartless Act costs 1 on a black. For an instant, choose one. Oh, choice. I have choices. Am I great with choices? Am I great at making choices? No. I am horribly indecisive. Anyway, destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from target creature. Guys, this is great. This is as close as we're going to get to like non-conditional removal on the cheap. For 2 mana, if it doesn't have any counters on it, you just kill it. Granted, this can not usually kill a Hydra Crisis. I mean, if they have 3+1/+1 counters on it, you just do the last one. So if the counters are in the +1/+1 variety, then you might be able to kill it anyway. Otherwise, you remove some of the threat. This is a very nice card. I like this quite a bit. I think in limited, this is a fantastic point of removal. Run 2, 3 if you get them, maybe. I mean, it could be a little heavy on the removal side of things, but this is great. Of course, it's gonna feel bad when you just take away like vigilance from an enemy creature. It's like, well, it's not really the best effect to get rid of, or maybe like trample. Well, who cares? It's still huge anyway. I don't know, but you know, situationally, these can be like better or worse effects. But the fact that it can kill something and largely will kill something, awesome. This might see standard play. Of course, it actually might. Because how many things really get counters on nowadays aside from Crisis and like Rhineborn Cutthroat? I don't know. Nothing really comes to mind. 2 mana removal. Okay, Hunted Nightmare. Oh, another one of these nightmare things. And it's a 3 mana. It costs 1 and 2 black for a 4/5. You have my attention. And you have Menace. You have my curiosity. And when Hunted Nightmare enters the battlefield, target opponent puts a Death Touch counter on a creature they control. Ah, there we go. So we've seen this a few times, have we? Or maybe in like other games I've seen this with effect, where you get a very good value for your card, but it gives your opponent the answer to it, or a way around it. It could be like a discard effect, but your opponent draws a card too, or something like that, you know? So it's like, I'm gonna have this big thing, I'm gonna give you the solution, but you need to apply it. So that's why they can make this cost so much. It's worth noting, if your opponent has no creatures, which I don't think that the race is really going to start happening until like turn 3 or 4. If you're on the play, if you're like, you know, going first, this could be a very real threat where your opponent has nothing on board because they just, you know, play 1 land pass, play a 2nd land pass, turn 3, okay, I'm just going to drop this guy, I have a 4/5 menace. That's very real. Let's see. This could potentially see play in standard, I think. I honestly don't think it will, but there's a slight chance that maybe if the format slows down a little bit. Okay, so that's what happens if they don't have a creature. What if they do have a creature and they give it Death Touch? 1 for 1, you pay 3 mana to trade with something. That's okay. It can make their blocks a little awkward. It can make things strange. They still need to put another creature in the way. So this usually does. It's usually will 2 for 1 anyway, assuming they're putting the Death Touch creature in the way. Even with Menace, is usually like almost a 2 for 1 mechanic. So this is a great card. Yeah. This is a wonderful card. It might see standard play. It might. Let's be honest. So hell yeah, like this is like a 4 out of 5. It's printed around the card there. 4 out of 5 in limited. In standard, 2.5 out of 5. I hesitate to say just because there's a lot of really good things in standard right now. But I mean, getting those stats out so early, it almost competes with like Lovestruck Beast as a 5/5. And that's actually a really strong effect if you can get them to stick there and chip away. So yeah, like a 2.5 out of 5 in standard. Insatiable Hemophage. It sounds like it should be a sorcery, but it's not. It's a creature. Just, I don't know, it just sounds like it's something like a, yes, and now the Insatiable Hemophage is complete. I don't know, whatever. So 3 and a black for a 3/3 Nightmare. Death Touch, and whenever this creature mutates, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. So this encourages you to stack mutations, obviously. It's worth noting you can stack them forever. There's no limit to how many times the thing can mutate. So you can have a huge stack. It's very vulnerable, probably at that point. You know, I don't know if anything gave it hexproof or indestructible, but if one goes, they all go. is just one creature. But let's see. So that's why I don't like this card, because you're putting too many eggs in one basket. I would largely just consider this. Let's see, and it doesn't have nothing to do with card advantage or anything. It's just, you know, deal some damage. You know, they lose life, you gain some life. Okay, but I think largely in limited, it's not that good of an effect. A 4-mana 3/3 death touch is okay. It's probably going to trade roughly evenly, which isn't terrible. So maybe like a 1 or a 2 out of 5 standard, and we're back down to 0. 0 out of 5 in standard. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I watched Day 9's reviews, and he was like, yeah, I can say 0 out of 5. I think he's hilarious, and I think he's also some pretty good points. And he's like, yeah, you know, you get that sense like this card is trash, and it deserves to be in the trash. Then that's just his place. Okay. Lurking Deadeye. A 3 and a black for a 4/2 human assassin with flash. When Lurking Deadeye enters the battlefield, destroy a creature that was dealt damage this turn. I hate these sort of effects. Wasn't there like Farika's assassin or Farika's finisher or something in Thera's Beyond Death, where it had like the same effect? I don't know if it had flash, but it had the same kind of effect. So for 4 mana 4/2 flash, let's just value that, because how often is that other effect going to go off? Not too often. I mean, if you were chump blocking and then you just play this, that'd be cool. But that involves you having chumps, and I'm not a huge fan of this. But ideally, in the ideal situation, you 2 for 1. But I don't think it's going to happen enough. So like a 2 out of 5 maybe. I don't like this card. And standard is going to see 0 play. I might not even play this if it's like the last card in the deck, like a 39th card or 40th, you know, like, maybe. It's not the worst card though. Maybe like a 1.5 out of 5. Okay. Memory Leak for 2 and a black. You have a sorcery. Alright, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from that player's hand, from the player's graveyard or hand, and exile it, and cycling for 1. 1 mana cycling is very, very nice. I'm just going to put that out there. I know, ignoring the effect entirely, pay 1 to draw a card. That's nice. There's nothing wrong with that. Sure, Opt is strictly better because you scry, but just having this effect in a color that doesn't usually draw cards for no cost, for not paying life, yeah, hell yeah. So you get that, or you can also have the, you know, the duress. It's not actually duress effect, because this is just non-land card. Duress is non-land, non-creature. So, but you're paying 3 mana for it. So, well, yeah, I hope you get a bigger choice of things. What do you got? Like a Thoughtseize effect. That's what it's called. So yeah, the fact that it actually exiles it as well. So you get that agonizing remorse. Essentially, this is agonizing remorse for 1 more. It's literally that, except it also has cycling attached to it, and that's the 1 more. To a point. Yeah, I like this card. In limited, yeah, I think this is great. This is fine. If you get to the point where your opponent just dropped their hand, you draw this late in the game, and they don't have any cards, cycle it. You pay 1 mana, you get another card. Suddenly you have fewer cards in your deck, basically. And then if you're playing this in standard, will we do it in standard? Will we play this in standard? It might see play. The fact that we still have Agonizing Remorse and Thought Erasure and Duress sees minuscule play. And people try to make Thought Contortion work, and Thought Distortion, I don't know, you know, the thing is, can't be countered because, I think this is just a little too much there, but you know what, it might see some play. It might be like 1 or 2 little flex spots in there. Again, more so, cards that have cycling are more prone to be in the best of 1 format. Are more poised to be in that, because if the matchup itself is unfavorable, you can't sideboard afterwards. There's no sideboard, you're playing your game. So you can cycle it if you're just in a bad matchup. Okay. Mutual Destruction. Hey. For 1 black, you get a sorcery. This spell has flash as long as you control a permanent with flash. Okay. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Destroy target creature. Okay, so you potentially have 1 mana, sack a creature, destroy another creature, which is good, which I would definitely play multiples of if I had the chance to. The fact that you need to have a permanent with flash, why? I mean, I guess if you're trying to do this in standard, like some kind of Sultai thing, even then, there are other ways to kill creatures that are just better. And if you're doing this in Salt, because I'm just thinking like Simic Flash plus black, because this is obviously a black card. But otherwise, no, I don't think it's going to see any play, really. If you have a whole lot of flashers, if you have at least, like, I'll say, for a limited deck, I'm just going to throw a number out here. Like 5 or 6, at least 6. At least 5. At least 5. Effects, then you can flash things, you could do that. Still, you can just play this during your normal, normal turn. You don't have to play for flash, you can just play it at normal sorcery speed, which is actually pretty, when you think about it that way, because like, well, it doesn't even do anything. No, it still is a spell. So Bone Spinners, basically. I don't hate it. You just make your things kind of trade. Yeah, I would play like 1 or 2 of these maybe, depending on how many creatures you have in your deck. I would definitely skew my deck heavily towards creatures as opposed to non-creature spells, because you need to have fodder for it, otherwise you got nothing. Standard 0, and limited, maybe play 1, maybe 2 if you have a lot of creatures. If your deck is like mostly like 3/4 creatures, and then lands. And you see this card, this background card, you see everything. Oh my, you see the border of the green screen? Yes. So I should stick to this area so I keep the illusion. Ignore the little patch down there. Yes, the Mythos of Nethroi by, I believe it is my favorite magic artist, Seb McKinnon. If you're interested, by the way, he like has these in the playmats like for a limited time on Kickstarter. They're fantastic. Whatever. Okay, I'm done. Just Google it. But for 2 and a black, you get an instant. I believe this is the only instant Mythos of the cycle. There's 1 for each color. The other ones I believe are all sorceries. Destroy target non-land permanent if it's a creature, or if if green and white was spent to cast the spell. So essentially, there are ways where they can increase the cost to cast spells, namely Elspeth Conquers Death. The second chapter of that means you have to pay 2 more to cast non-creature spells, so that could affect things. But still, you're not going to be playing this. In limited, you can play this. Let's see. So, just to clarify, sorry, I'm kind of rambling, how this effect works. If you pay black, green, and white, known as Abzan, if you put all those 3 mana colors into casting this spell, then you can destroy a target non-land permanent. Just whatever. It doesn't have to be a creature. As long as it's not a land, you can blow it up. If you do not have the green and the white to put together into this thing, you can kill a creature. So 3 mana, destroy a creature is okay. It's murder. It's murder, right? With black there, it's just murder. 3 mana, destroy whatever you want to, and they don't get to search anything. I'm thinking about Assassin's Trophy here, and that's 2 of the 3 colors in common. That's good. That's good. That might actually see some play in standard. I could see like maybe 2 of these being thrown into an Abzan deck. And the fact that we do have some pretty good mana fixing when we get to the lands, oh my god, they're so nice. Yeah, that could work. And limited, hell yeah. At the very worst, it's still a 3 mana destroy target creature with no limitations. Yes. Yes. And the artwork is beautiful. And yes. Moving on. Night Squad Commando. It costs 2 and a black for a 2/3 human soldier. When Night Squad Commando enters the battlefield, if you attack this turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So you're basically paying 3 mana for a 3/4, but you must have attacked already. So no, I don't like it, because it's also split up in a 1/1. I would rather have a 3/4 than a 2/3 and a 1/1 in most circumstances. I don't think you can really make a very effective go wide deck in limited, and in standard you're not going to play this card. There are better things that put more things on the board if that's what you're trying to do. Serrated Scorpion. I think we're getting towards the end here, considering they are alphabetical. I don't know, right? Oh my goodness, now we all know. So a 1 mana 1/2. When it dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. You gain 2 life. That's cool. It's okay. It's nothing great. If you have a lot of mutate in your deck, then I could see this being a very valuable card, because sometimes the mutate cost is a whole lot more. So you just play this and then you get to cheapen it out a little bit. It's like, okay, or you can, be able to just, you mutate onto this card. Cool. Otherwise, you could try to play it just to get a little early game advantage. I would really only play this card though, like I said, in limited, if you have a lot of mutate cards. as a target to get that out early on. If you were playing this in standard, why aren't you just playing a cat? It just cat and oven and cat, and it keeps going, and it's the cat. Just Google like cat oven, and I'm pretty damn sure, I haven't done it myself because that'd be weird, but I'm pretty damn sure you're gonna come up with some magic, maybe some thread on Reddit or something, and be like, oh my god, this damn cat oven is driving me insane. All right, moving on. Suffocating Fumes costs 2 and a black. For an instant speed, creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn. I don't exactly recall the card, but there was something played a little while back. I think it was back on like Amonkhet and such, where it was a similar effect. I think it was like -2/-2, and you got to surveil or something. So I actually really do like this card, but for 3 mana. The fact that it's on your opponent's creatures is okay. But for 3 mana, no. That's where it draws the line. If it was 2 mana, I could see it seeing some play. I could see it working out. But for 3 mana, no. That's the breakpoint for me. I see that it has cycling. Nah, it doesn't help this time. I mean, it helps a little bit, but it just doesn't do it for me. It doesn't put it over the edge of 0. So for me, it's a 0. Okay, Unbreakable Bond. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that big old thing up there. Oh, look at you. All right, costs 4 and a black for a sorcery speed thing. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. Oh, look at that. So we have some recursion, revival, reanimator. That's the word I'm looking for. Something with a re. So we have a reanimator effect. And it's 5 mana is like the standard cost to bring something back from the graveyard. We already have that with Bond or Revival. Now we have Unbreakable Bond. I see a little similarity there. Except Bond or Revival gives your thing haste. This gives it lifelink. If you're trying to pay 5 mana to stabilize against an aggressive deck that has you on the ropes, I don't know if getting back maybe huge, maybe mid-sized lifelink creature is gonna do what you want it to do. If you want to, just try to find a big creature with a lifelink already, play Bond or Revival, have it have haste, and then just attack, gain the life right there. Or at least, make them answer it right away. And limited though, this is fine. The fact that you can just get a bigger creature back. And there was that earlier mill card. There's a few things where you can get things in the graveyard. You could cycle a bigger creature maybe, then to throw that in the grave and then use this to bring it back in limited. That's cool. That's okay. So in that sense, I would give it maybe like a 2 out of 5 limited. Just make sure you have big targets for it. If you don't have any big creatures, if you only have like 1 or 2 big creatures, don't bother. Don't bother. I'd rather not pay 5 mana to get back like a 3/3 and give it lifelink, But otherwise, you're okay. In standard, nah. Unexpected Fangs. I love this. This reminds me of the freaking thing with Olive Garden. Someone made a program, watched like 1,000 hours of Olive Garden commercials. It was like, friend 4, what is a friend 4? Secret soup. So, Unexpected Fangs. That's the same energy I get here. Really strong energy. All right, so for 1 and a black, you have an instant. Put a +1/+1 counter and a lifelink counter on target creature. I guess that makes sense for Fangs. I mean, it isn't necessarily poisonous or venomous. Poisonous is when it's damaging on the outside. Venomous is when it has to be injected into yourself. So like snakes are venomous, but mushrooms are poisonous. Now we know. But yeah, it's a nice little combat trick, and you can gain some life. But largely, I'm gonna say 0 out of 5. Both formats. Get out of here. Although it's kind of funny, like, oh, I'm just gonna hug you. I'm gonna hug you with my teeth. All right. Unlikely Aid. It's unlikely because it doesn't have any eyes. Otherwise, it'd be fine. Otherwise, it'd be very, very expected. They could have put that on the thing before with Gideon flying on riding Rakdos, which didn't happen, by the way. He didn't tell anybody about that. I don't know about that. It's okay. But yeah. Anyway, 2 mana, 1 and a black for an instant speed. Target creature gets 2/0 and gains indestructible. Indestructible is actually a very, very strong keyword. I don't know, it's not really seen too often, probably because it's so strong, but this is not to be underestimated. In limited, the fact that it buffs your creature, so it's a combat trick in that sense, and no matter what, it survives, means it is fantastic. It's like a 3 out of 5, maybe even like a 4 out of 5 limited. In standard, this probably won't see play, only because 2 big cards that give indestructible are Unbreakable Formation and Karametra's Blessing. Karametra's Blessing sees some play in the Selesnya enchantment Constellation deck. But aside from that, we really don't see a whole lot of that. So I don't think it's going to see any play in Standard. But in Limited, this is actually very, very nice. Alright, we have Void Beckoner. I should be almost done here. I know it's going on for like an hour, and then we're gonna do all the other colors. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. So, Void Beckoner, 6 and 2 black for a Nightmare Horror, 8/8 with Death Touch, cycling for 3. So if you cycle this, and then you get this thing, hey, 5 mana, 8/8. With Death Touch, now that's alright. And lifelink, right? When you cycle this thing, put a Death Touch counter on target creature you control. This is good. It's worth noting, because I don't think I mentioned it before, cycling can be done at instant speed. It's just a card ability. You can activate the abilities of creatures, or, you know, of cards, whenever you want to, as long as they have the mana, basically. I also believe that it's not casting a spell, so you can do this through Teferi, which is actually a really neat little, kind of like little combat trick there too. Pretty nice. That being said, I don't think this is going to see any play in Standard, unless people just want to play it for the alternate artwork. Coming up, okay. In Limited though, this is a big beastie. I really like the card. It has two purposes. You can either cycle it to, you know, combat trick something, or just play it as a huge thing. In Limited, hell yeah. I'd probably play almost as many of these as I can, especially if I have the revival effect. I mean, maybe I just play 2 of them. I don't think I'd go for 3. I got a huge one. Play as many as you can, but no more than 2. No more than 2, right? But yeah, really nice card though. And again, spoiler alert coming up, close your eyes, cover your ears, or vice versa. I will say that the timing for this card, just in relation to the name, is rather poor. It's unfortunate that things are how they are right now. If you don't know if this is sometime in the future and like, what are you talking about? Just Google 2020 and you'll see. Early 2020, things happened and it wasn't great, you know? And not the best year for the world. Anyway, but this artwork though is rather beautiful. And I gotta say, I love this whole thing with the things and the stuff and the you know, and it's all wonderful. All right, where are we? Whisper Squad. Okay, spoilers over. For 1 black, just single black thing, you get a 1/1. You can pay 2 mana, search your library for a card named Whisper Squad, and put it into the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. It is slightly worth noting in the limited format, you can play as many of a card as you would like to, as you get. It is not limited to the 4 of rule in constructed. So if you know, if you're drafting and these are all your last picks and you got like, you know, 5 or 6 of these, you can put them on your deck and just keep pulling them out. So this, I do want to compare this for a moment to Growth Chamber Guardian, who, wow, that was like really hyped up. It actually got some really good play early on in Ravnica Allegiance. Great card. It doesn't put the card in the battlefield, but it costs a little more, but it gets buffed, and then you get the other card in your hand. Then you can play that one, you can buff that one too. So this is cheaper, does not buff itself, puts the creature into the battlefield, but then what? This notably is not a Squadron Hawk, and some people, oh my god, Squadron Hawk, clearly he's a control player. Not that I'm wearing Esper colors at all. I don't know where I got that idea from. I have no idea why you might say that I like control. This thing's all beat up, but whatever. Yeah, so don't get your hopes up for that. I think this card's kind of useless. It would be okay if it wasn't a human, because maybe you could be like, I'm going to get another target for a thing to mutate onto. Cool. But it's not. That's not what it is. So, no thank you. Yeah, 0 to 5, 0 to 5. And I think this is the last card, Zagoth Mamba. If something comes after Zagoth or Zagoth, then I'm surprised. Okay, anyway, so you play 1 black for a 1/1. Similar. Whenever this creature mutates, target creature and opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn. This is a much better card than this guy. You play this turn 1, sure, okay, cool. Your opponent maybe does something turn 1, maybe not, maybe later on. When you get the chance to, you mutate on top of this thing, it gets bigger stats, the thing has haste, and you probably kill a creature. And nearly every time you mutate on this, you can probably work it out to kill a creature. And even if not, like if you're holding some cards and you attack, your opponent's gonna be thinking, well, I can block, you know, other things. Probably not this, whatever stack this is onto. But if they mutate on Zagath Mamba again, then I might lose this creature, because if I block their, you know, their 4/4 with my 6/6, it might still die if they just put another thing on the stack. So this is like mind games plus board games plus card games. It's like the trifecta right there. Lovely. Standard, no, but in limited. And that is it. That is all of them. Oh my goodness. And I got it in just now is going to be 1 hour. There it is there. Okay, so obviously the whole video is going to be longer because I kept talking. I probably could have tried to wrap things up in that little, you know, brief time there, but it's like, why should I do that? Let's keep on going. So that is it for the black cards. Overall black, it's interesting. Again, we're kind of straying away from monocolored. Theros had all these monocolored things. They didn't do too badly. Mono red still a thing. Mono green tries to be a thing. Mono blue was a blip in the radar. Mono black, we all thought. I hoped it didn't work. Mono white. Did we talk about mono white? Not really. So they are definitely pushing gold cards in this set, and oh my goodness, they pushed hard, and oh, it looks so good. So please stay tuned for more card reviews, set reviews, hopefully gameplay. I don't know, I got nothing else to do, but at the same time, I am inconsistency is gonna be the death of me. So thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, tell me I'm right, tell me I'm wrong, tell me what your favorite flavor of ice cream is, subscribe, or frozen yogurt, you know, I mean, who am I to judge? And there's also a link to my Twitch down below. I try to stream sometimes. And without further ado, good night or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. But as always, good luck.